sister's dream wedding after I found out she stole my fiancé. Everyone says I ruined my sister's wedding. According to my family, I'm bitter, jealous, and completely heartless. But none of them know what happened just 3 weeks before her wedding. I'm 29 years old. My younger sister Chloe has always loved attention. If I got a compliment, she needed 10. If I achieved something, she had to outdo me. Growing up, my parents called it healthy competition. It wasn't. It was exhausting. 2 years ago, I got engaged to the love of my life, Ethan. We've been together for 5 years. We had already booked the venue, sent invitations, even picked out our honeymoon. Everything was perfect until one Friday night. Ethan suddenly started acting distant. He was always working late, always texting someone. Whenever I walked into the room, he'd lock his phone. I kept telling myself I was overthinking. Then one evening, my best friend called me. "You need to see this." She sent me a photo. At first, I didn't understand what I was looking at. Then I zoomed in. It was Ethan, holding hands with my sister. Not a friendly hug, not a misunderstanding. They were kissing right outside the restaurant where Ethan had proposed to me. I couldn't breathe. I drove home in complete silence. I wanted answers. Instead, I found something much worse, and it changed everything. I didn't call Ethan. I didn't text my sister. I drove straight home. When I walked inside, Ethan was sitting on the couch watching TV. He smiled. "Hey, babe," as if nothing had happened. I pulled out my phone and placed it on the coffee table. The photo was still on the screen. His smile disappeared. For nearly a minute, neither of us spoke. Finally, he whispered, "It's not what you think." I almost laughed. "Really? Because it looks exactly like you kissing my sister." He buried his face in his hands. Then he admitted it. It started a few months ago. A few months. While we were planning our wedding, while I was tasting wedding cakes, he was secretly dating my sister. I felt sick. I took off my engagement ring and placed it on the table. "We're done." I packed a suitcase and left that night. The next morning, my phone exploded, but it wasn't Ethan calling. It was my mom. "Come over, right now." When I arrived, my entire family was waiting. Mom, Dad, my sister, even Ethan. My mother looked at me and said, "People make mistakes." I stared at her. "Mistakes? They had an affair." Dad nodded. "But they're in love now." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Then my sister smiled. "I'm really sorry, but you can't choose who you love." I thought that was the worst part. It wasn't. She reached into her purse and pulled out a wedding invitation. Her wedding invitation. To Ethan. The date? Exactly 3 months after my canceled wedding. Same venue. Same photographer. Even the same florist I had booked. She hadn't just stolen my fiancé. She had stolen my entire wedding. I stood there in complete silence. Then my mom asked the one question that changed everything. "So, you'll still help pay for the wedding, right?" I blinked. "What?" Dad cleared his throat. "You already paid the deposits. It would be a shame to waste that money." I looked around the room. Nobody was joking. They actually expected me to pay for the wedding between my sister and my ex-fiancé. I smiled for the first time that day because I had just come up with a plan, and by the end of the week, they would all regret asking me for anything. I smiled and said exactly what they wanted to hear. "Of course I'll help." The entire room relaxed. My sister actually hugged me. "I knew you'd understand." Inside, I was already done with all of them. The next morning, I called every vendor, the venue, the florist, the photographer, the DJ, the caterer. Every single booking was under my name. Every deposit had been paid with my credit card. The contracts were clear. Only I could make changes. I didn't yell. I didn't argue. I simply canceled every reservation. Some deposits were non-refundable. I accepted the loss. Losing a little money hurt, but paying for my sister's wedding would hurt a lot more. 3 days later, my phone rang. It was my sister. She was screaming. "What did you do?" "The venue says our reservation is gone." I calmly replied, "It wasn't your reservation. It was mine." She hung up. 10 minutes later, my mom called, then Dad, then Ethan. More than 50 missed calls. That evening, they all showed up at my apartment. My sister was crying. "You ruined my wedding." I looked at her. "No, you ruined mine." Dad stepped forward. "You've made your point. Now fix this." I shook my head. "There's nothing to fix." Ethan finally spoke. "You don't have to destroy our future just because ours didn't work out." I couldn't believe he actually said that. I laughed. "Our future? You started your relationship while you were engaged to me." Then I looked directly at my sister. "You didn't just betray me. You expected me to pay for it." For the first time, neither of them had an answer. Just as they were leaving, my best friend walked into my apartment. She looked confused. "I thought you told them." "Told them what?" I asked. She froze. "Oh, I thought they already knew." The room went silent. Mom turned toward her. "Knew what?" My friend slowly looked at me. "I guess there's no reason to keep it secret anymore." She reached into her bag and placed a folder on the table. Inside were screenshots, hotel reservations, text messages, photos. The affair hadn't started a few months ago. It had started before Ethan proposed to me. For over a year, they had both been lying to my face. My mother picked up one of the screenshots. Her hand started shaking. Dad looked at Ethan, then at my sister. Neither of them denied it. Not a single word. And that was the exact moment my parents realized they had been defending the wrong people all along. But the biggest surprise was still waiting. The room was completely silent. My mom slowly read every screenshot, every message, every hotel receipt. There was no misunderstanding, no excuse. The affair had started over a year ago, just weeks before Ethan proposed to me. He had planned our engagement while secretly dating my sister. Mom looked at Chloe. "Tell me this isn't true." Chloe lowered her head. "It just happened." Dad slammed his hand on the table. For over a year, neither Chloe nor Ethan said a word. For the first time in my life, my parents weren't defending her. They were disappointed. Dad looked at Ethan. "Get out!" Ethan tried to explain. "I love Chloe." Dad pointed to the door. "If that's true, then leave. You're no longer welcome here." Ethan walked out without another word. A week later, the wedding was canceled. Without the venue, photographer, florist, or caterer, they couldn't pull everything together in time. More importantly, the truth had spread through the family. People finally knew why I had canceled everything. My aunt called to apologize. My cousins admitted they had judged me too quickly. Even my mom came to my apartment. She stood at my door with tears in her eyes. "I should have believed you." It didn't erase the pain, but hearing those words mattered. Months passed. I focused on myself. I started traveling. Went back to hobbies I'd forgotten. Spent more time with friends who had supported me from the beginning. One afternoon, I got a message from Ethan. Just one sentence. "I made the biggest mistake mistake of my life. I read it once, then deleted it. No reply, no anger, no second chance. Sometimes the best closure is silence. As for Chloe, she tried reaching out several times. She said she wanted us to be sisters again. Maybe one day she'll truly understand what she destroyed. But trust isn't something you rebuild overnight. Some bridges, once burned, stay that way. Looking back, losing my fiancé felt like the end of my world. Now I realize it saved me from marrying someone who never deserved me. And if I had one chance to go back and change everything, I wouldn't, because sometimes the worst betrayal leads you to the best future. So, AITA for canceling my sister's dream wedding after she stole my fiancé?